instructions given.
Good evening. We are live. I'm hoping that being 24 hours late doesn't mean we're on our own, Seb. Good evening to you. How you doing?
I'm very well. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah. We'll be talking about Sunderland. Plenty of stuff to dissect there. We'll be talking about Portsmouth. We'll be talking about well, whatever you want to talk about. Get involved in the chats. We want to hear from you guys. All of our details are scrolling across the bottom there. So do give us a shout, but get involved in the comments on Facebook, on Twitter via Periscope, or on our YouTube channel. There we go. Hey up, boys. Evening to you, HCH9990. Yeah, I mean, Seb, there's a few bits and pieces to talk about, but both you and I have been looking on the FA website today, haven't we? Because
how to pass the time, yeah.
Yeah, well, working hard or hardly working, because we need to figure out what the handball rule is and what constitutes a red card offence, right?
Yeah, so I guess we've both looked at it, and I think we've both come to the same conclusion that we're both still pretty clueless on the handball one. Well, I certainly am. I looked through it a good few times, and the more I read it, the more I seem to confuse myself. But maybe somebody in the comments can point us in the right direction and give us what their interpretation is, because I think we're on the same page of it. It is a bit confusing.
Any referees out there, help us out, or anyone who kind of interpret the FA laws, because we'll go through the match. We'll go through kind of the kind of blow by blow action, and there's a paragraph that appears to kind of directly contradict. So anyway, let's move forward to Sunderland. Keep the comments coming, folks. Any questions, any thoughts, any predictions for Saturday? Love to hear from you guys, and give us a thumbs up if you're watching as well. Seb, I'm going to put the teams up here. Let's just have a look at these and give me your thoughts here. If I remove the annoying banner as well, that might be even better, wouldn't it? Let's get rid of that. There we go. So bits of news for Ipswich. A bit frustratingly, I guess, and something that we might need to get used to is Luke Wolfenden having to self-isolate for 14 days because he came into contact with someone who tested positive for COVID. Yeah. What's your thought on this? I mean, it's a long old time, isn't it?
It is, but it is
not having a test, but.
Yeah, but obviously the club are going to have their protocols they have to follow. I know a couple of people who've had the message from Track and Trace, and they've obviously gone into isolation for 7 days or 10 days. So 14 days does seem an awfully long time, but obviously the club has its protocols to follow, so we can't risk a spread to other players or to the management staff. So I guess it's important he sits it out. And the way the fixture list falls, I guess if it had to happen, like you say, we need to get used to this. If it had to happen, it's probably quite good it's happened now, because I think last night will be the only league game he misses, because he probably would have been rested on Saturday against Pompey. He definitely would be rested against Crawley in the Cup, and then we get the free weekend because of the Blackpool game coming forward. So bad for him, bit of a stop-start season for him. You know, he finally gets his place back in the team, and then he has to sit out through circumstances outside of his control, but it's a good time to happen if it had to happen at all.
Your thoughts on Enciala coming in over Wilson?
Yeah, well, at first I thought it was harsh on Wilson. You know, Wilson, even in the Doncaster game, wasn't that bad. And when he was suddenly dropped off the bench altogether, I thought it was a harsh decision. But then you look at Charlie Wyke up front for Sunderland. You know, he's a big bruising centre forward. The Sunday team, I think it was Mikey, mentioned the Peter Crouch podcast reference to your centre backs of buffaloes and gazelles. And I guess against a big gnarly striker, target man like Charlie Wyke, maybe you want Enciala's physicality and his sort of, you know, his presence to help out the gazelle alongside him.
This kind of ignore firstly the numbers, which I think are the average rating throughout the season so far, and I think this formation is a little bit out, possibly. I'm not sure. I think Edwards is where Lancaster was, and Lancaster was possibly just in behind Jackson. It's the first start for Jackson, which is, I guess, is good news. I'm not sure what the story is with Ollie Hawkins, who drops out. And what else is there to talk about? It's a start for Lancaster. It's a start for Judge. Your thoughts on Judge? He's not had the best of it of late? Were you?
No, but he did pop up with an assist, didn't he, on Saturday? So I guess he deserves to keep his place. I was surprised Hughes didn't come in. I thought Hughes would be a nailed-on starter for this game, not starting at the weekend. So I was surprised not to see him on the team sheet. But fair play to Lambert. He's gone with a quite attacking lineup, with Lancaster sort of playing as the advanced one in the almost like the number 10 position. Well, yeah, it was a surprise to see Jackson in for Hawkins. He's not played much football, but I guess they were hoping his pace could stretch Sunderland's defence, which was a bit ropey at times.
Yeah, well, you can see they're the three at the back, and it's also worth just picking out Grant Ledbetter there, who obviously used to take our corners, didn't he, back in the day?
And penalties, I think, ironically.
I think
so. Yeah.
Hold that thought. Keep your comments coming in, by the way, folks. Good evening to Tim down in beautiful Devon.
Oh, very nice.
Hello to our South Coast, Southwest Coast, something like that. Yeah. Geography. I haven't done geography in a long old time. Let's get into the action then, Seb. And I mean, there's not much to talk about until the 8th minute, and this kind of just I was going to say sucker punch goal from Sunderland, but it just comes from a direct ball into Wyke, and McGuinness.
He's unfortunate and he slips. So yeah, Gooch plays the ball through. McGuinness is unlucky. He does slip. And for all the world, I was assuming he was offside. Charlie Wyke was offside. I thought it was the new rule where they play on, and then once the ball's in the net, the linesman raises the flag. But he scored the goal, and amazingly they were celebrating. And I was thinking, well, there must be a flag coming. Ward was pretty apoplectic that he was offside, but just unfortunate. If McGuinness stays on his feet, that ball gets cut out relatively easily, and the game had been nothing up until that point. Both sides had sort of not got going very easily, and as I guess would be the worst case scenario, we start poorly and concede an early goal.
Yeah, and against top 10 teams, this is the kind of stuff we don't want to be doing, really. We need to build confidence, don't we?
Yeah, you'd like them to sort of pass the ball around and sort of nullify the threat, and not do anything too rash for the first 15-20 minutes, but unfortunately that wasn't the case.
No. Evening to Anthony Geo3. And then there's an effort for Scowen, who heads over from 5 yards out on 19 minutes. But Town steadily get back into this game, don't they? It's not a great start, and as much as I think Tommy Miller basically says, it's been an okay start from Ipswich the minute before.
I'm not sure where he got that from, an okay start. I thought it wasn't great. It felt more like a 4-5-1 at times. Both the wide men, Judge and Edwards, were struggling to get forward in support of Jackson, and obviously we know Jackson unfortunately can become isolated when he plays that role up front on his own. So I thought it was a bit of a slow start, but then come the 38th minute, we got ourselves back on level terms.
Yeah, and it's good work here from Edwards. I think it's Scowen actually who he beats down the left-hand side. And what I like here is that, and Edwards has kind of added this to his game of late in the last few weeks, is he actually, the cross isn't a speculative cross. There's sometimes where you cross to kind of take a deflection off the defender and win a corner, but this is a direct ball right to the feet of Lancaster, who's in a great position, and it's a really tidy finish, isn't it?
Yeah, really good goal. It was a nice measured ball by Edwards. Does really well with his pace. He gets the old afterburners on and takes it past the man. Like you say, a really nicely weighted, measured ball for Lancaster. Lancaster's in acres of space, and he hits the shot across the keeper. And at that point, I thought it was a goal a bit out of nothing, because we hadn't started great. But once that went in, it really, really seemed to raise our confidence, and we really started to play some decent stuff for the rest of the half. But a really good goal.
Yeah, and half time, would you say that a 1-1 scoreline was fair at half time?
Yeah, just about, because we had the stronger of the last sort of 10-15 minutes of the half. We hadn't really started well at all, but Sunderland sort of retreated a bit into their shell. They weren't really coming at us like they were after the goal first went in. So I thought half time was a reasonable scoreline, and I was conscious that maybe half time had come at the wrong time for us. Having scored relatively late in the half, I was a bit worried we'd maybe come out the second half and start slowly like we have done sometimes this season. But we just started the second half really, really strongly as well, I thought.
Yeah, so there's a penalty shout straight after halftime. I haven't found any highlights to watch this again.
Yeah, no.
Do you recall this?
Yeah, I was watching it on Zoom with a couple of mates, and I was adamant it was a penalty when it happened. And one of them went, "No, calm down. There's no chance that's a penalty at all." And then, having seen the replay, it just wasn't at all, was it? Lancaster, it's good work from is it Chambers? I think puts the ball in, or Judge maybe. Good work from them. But Lancaster, it's not a penalty. He just sort of jumps out of the way of the guy, and it's not a foul.
The moment to potentially convert a point into 3 is the 63rd minute here, and Alan Judge does really well, doesn't it? It's I think it's Flanagan who he dispossesses on halfway, and acres of space. As you said, Sunderland's defence not particularly good. It's a shame that we didn't really have more about us to test them, because there's not too many chances in the second half. We'll bring up the stats at the end. And this is kind of this is a speculative cross, albeit there are bodies in there to aim at. It heads towards Jackson, who kind of feints to get out of the way, and Lancaster again in a great position. And should he do better here?
I think so, yeah. He's got to hit the target, hasn't he? I thought it was really good from Judd. It's a really loose ball, isn't it, by the Sunderland defenders, and he snatches onto it really, really quickly. I think it's quite a good ball in, and Jackson's very intelligent the way he sort of steers the defender out of the way to create the space for Lancaster. And it just he can't almost get it out of his feet. It sort of just won't drop quickly enough for him to get the shot on target. But seeing where he is in the box, unmarked on his left foot, it is a golden opportunity. And had that gone in, I'd have really, really fancied us to go on and win the game, because at that point Sunderland were making these silly mistakes and these loose passes, and I thought we would capitalise on that if we could have scored that one.
Yeah, it feels like he maybe took it a little bit early. I guess he has to.
There's a guy running in, isn't there? So he has to take it early. He just can't. It sort of almost gets stuck underneath his feet. He's trying to get it out a little bit and get the shot off, but with the guy running in, he takes it a little bit early and puts it over.
And I think he's trying to get he needs to get his. Me, the expert here, saying these things, but
we've played FIFA and Football Manager. We know it
needs to get over the ball, doesn't he, Seb?
Yeah.
I won't. I'm not going to dig about it too much, because I suspect I wouldn't have even made contact with the ball. But 73. This is when it's all going to go wrong, Seb. And this feels like an opportune moment to share with everybody the rules for serious foul play.
Yep.
And let's see if this passes the test or not. So serious foul play is a tackle or challenge that endangers the safety of an opponent or uses excessive force or brutality must be sanctioned as serious foul play. Any player who lunges at an opponent in challenging for the ball from the front, from the side, or from behind using one or both legs with excessive force or endangers the safety of an opponent is guilty of serious foul play. And serious foul play is a red card offence.
Yep.
So what... Are you going to agree with the referee here, Seb, or are you going to agree with Ipswich Town Twitter?
I think it's very, very harsh. I can see perhaps why the referee is giving it, because the angle he's got, I think he thinks Dizelle has... I think lunge is a strong term to use, because there's no real momentum behind him. I think he's almost... The Sunderland player kind of pushes him. So I think he almost falls a little bit. But the way the referee's looking at it, I think he'll see him go in off the ground. So he'll assume he's out of control, two-footed. And that's why he's produced the red card. It was incredibly harsh. I'm not surprised we've appealed it at all. Hopefully, it won't be classed as a frivolous appeal, and we'll get an extra game chucked on the end of it. But it completely turned the game. I can see why he's given it. His view is very, very clear, but it's incredibly harsh, isn't it? Dizelle's shocked. Well, you always go by the players, don't you? The players' reactions will tell you. So when Nolan chopped the guy down against Lincoln, the players are screaming bloody murder. The Sunderland players didn't appeal for anything. Ledbitter's down, rolling around. Dizelle looks shocked to be given for the foul to be given, let alone the red card. I've seen a still on Twitter today. I think it's Jimmy Walker, the goalkeeping coach, has put it up, and it seems to show Dizelle with only 1 foot on the ball and not off the ground. But obviously in slow motion, it's much easier to see these things. So incredibly harsh decision. I can see why the ref's done it, but it's very, very, very harsh.
The referee hadn't booked anyone.
Yeah, he'd let everything go, hadn't he? And Dizelle and Bishop have been fouled on multiple times when we were breaking, and the ref just let it go. So to have such an easy game up until the final quarter, and then suddenly, make that kind of decision was a bit crazy. But unfortunately, also in our league, there's no VAR, nothing like that. So we have to kind of accept it, albeit with an appeal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play.
Do you think it's excessive force? I didn't think he lunged in too excessively personally.
I think it's a challenge that could be interpreted to endanger the safety of an opponent more than using excessive force. I think it's, the idea that it needs to be high or two-footed to constitute serious foul play. I think the rule has moved on a little bit, and because the referees are there largely to make these decisions to protect the players, I can see why he's done it. I mean, he doesn't have the benefit of the replays, and obviously in League One we don't have VAR. But the trouble is, and your point about the frivolous appeal is a good one, is the FA are very unlikely to overturn a serious foul play decision, because it's, to an extent, it's in the eye of the beholder in terms of the referee, isn't it? And effectively, if you say that a challenge that is a bit clumsy, and I think we can say it's a little bit clumsy, whether it's a yellow or red, I think there's been plenty of opinion given on Twitter about that. The FA, I don't think, they generally err on the other side, don't they? They err on the side of caution. They err on the side of making a statement that if you're going to go into a tackle, you need to do it to win the ball and not to endanger your opponent, because you can't endanger your opponent anymore. You might win the ball and swipe out your opponent. We see that quite a lot now. And I just think the game has moved on, rightly or wrongly, to a point now where I just think if a referee sees a challenge like that and thinks it's dangerous or endangering an opponent, that's enough, I think.
I'm assuming the referee sees him off the ground and therefore he's out of control. And like I said, I can see why he's done it. I assume if the ban is upheld, I assume it's a 3-game ban for him for the violent conduct. So we'll get Nolan back and we lose Dizelle. Yeah,
also HCH9990. It's an interesting point here. If the red is downgraded to a yellow, that puts Dizelle on 5 yellows. Is that a 1-game suspension anyway? Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, it would be.
I think coincidentally, we were just before Dizelle's challenge, because I think he'd had quite a, I think he put in a bit of a naughty one, or maybe it was this challenge. It was like, I think Dizelle might be on 4 booking, so he's obviously looking to get a 5th to then be suspended for Pompey, which doesn't matter, and then can come back to the league. And then to see the red card was just a bit of a surprise. But
and obviously at that point you're thinking, back against the walls, let's batten down the hatches and try and ride out the point for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the referee's going to get involved again to make that not the case. 10 minutes later, Seb, it's a second phase kind of ball that Enciala and McGuinness are dealing with. I think it's Luca 9 that heads the ball back in from a McLaughlin cross. And this is just messy and clumsy. And again, you kind of think, Enciala's got to the 83rd minute. He's done okay. He is just the most unlucky person.
He is unlucky, yeah. He is. People were joking on Twitter beforehand, weren't they? What minute of the game is Enciala going to give a penalty away? But he's so unlucky here. It's a decent first clearance from McGuinness. He heads the cross out to the edge of the area. It comes back in, and when I saw it first time in real time, I kind of thought he kicked it against his own hand. But when you look at it back, Enciala clearly heads it onto his arm, and by the letter of the law, that is a penalty in these crazy rules, or is it? As we tried to read the rules several times today in our separate places of work and stuff, and I don't think any of us are any clearer now. I'm certainly not.
So yeah, I do want to hear on the comments if you've got a view either way on these decisions, because all we're doing is giving our take, giving our read of the situation as well. So very happy to hear more views, and we'll put them up maybe when we got through the match action. Let me share
a nice, clear, concise. Yeah.
Let me stop the banner as well down the bottom so we can properly see all of this as well. So this is the handball ruling here. And I think what we need to look at is this bottom section here. And I would say the bottom section here, if it wasn't directly contradicting something above here. So the above offences. So it's an offence if the player deliberately touches the ball, scores in the goal directly from their hand or arm, after the ball is touched their teammate's arm, or even accidentally, if immediately he scores in an opponent's goal, creates a goal scoring opportunity, touches the ball with their hand or arm when the hand arm is made their body bigger, beyond their shoulder level. The above offences apply even if the ball touches a player's hand/arm directly from the head or body, including the foot of a player who is close. So that's sort of saying, because McGuinness's arm is up in the air, isn't it? So it passes the test of,
and it's out from his body, so it's unnatural. Yeah,
the hand arm is above and beyond the shoulder level.
Yeah,
and then there's this caveat here: except for the above offences, it is not an offence if the ball touches a player's hand/arm directly from their own, from the player's own head or body, or including the foot, or directly from the head or body, including the foot of another player who is close. So, Seb, translate that rule for me. Is this a handball or not?
I've no idea. So, at first in real time, I thought he kicked it against himself. So that would be bullet point 1 on the exceptions list to say he's kicked it against his own hand, therefore it's not a penalty. On replay, it's Enciala. Enciala's the guy that obviously heads it against McGuinness's arm. And so that, in theory, does that not qualify for point 2? Because it's come off a player who is close to me. That's point 2. But equally then, two sentences up, you've got the thing saying about it also is an offence if it comes off somebody nearby. So I haven't got a clue. The simple answer to it. There was the Eric Dyer one in the Premier League, wasn't there, where he wasn't looking at the ball against Newcastle, and I thought they changed the ruling after that, but maybe they didn't, or I don't know.
So George 03, evening to George, it makes a point here, which I just think that the FA ruling would be much easier for referees to navigate if there's a caveat that says use common sense and try to figure out what is in the mind of the defenders. Common sense needs to be used. The ball is being cleared out of the box. Why would Mark McGuinness want to stop the ball from being cleared? I would understand if he moved his hand towards the ball to control or stop it. And George has got a point there, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you look at that situation, what a possible advantage is Mark McGuinness trying to gain? We've talked about his arm and hand being out there, which is unnatural and does extend and make himself bigger. But Enciala, there's not a chance in hell that Enciala could try to put that on McGuinness's arm or hand if he tried. So it's clearly a freak occurrence.
And they're so close together, and it's happening so quickly. To me, it's, well, if that's the letter of the law, then it's a really, really stupid law, isn't it? Like you say, what's the advantage gained from doing that? None.
I'm just trying to, if anyone's got any other thoughts on this handball one, because there's nothing we can do about this one. This can't be overturned.
No.
We'll talk about referees more generally, but yeah.
Also, he doesn't consult with the linemen, does he? He just points straight to the spot. In theory, maybe have a chat with the linesman, but he just takes it upon himself to make that decision, which I guess, well, by the letter of the law, is it? I don't know.
George's point is good. A continuation here. None of the Sunderland players appealed for the penalty red card. In cricket, if you don't appeal for an out, the umpire can't really give it. Is that true, George? I'm not 100% sure that's good. But I like the idea that if they don't appeal for it, they don't get it.
Because, that's what happened with the red card, wasn't it? It was nothing.
Yeah. There you go. Maybe we'll see. I'm not sure the FA will go for that one. But Grant Ledbetter, we know all about Grant Ledbetter. Seb,
of course,
dispatches the penalty with confidence, doesn't he?
Yeah, easy. And obviously at that point, down to 10 men, 4-5 minutes to go, plus a bit of added time at the end, and you're starting to think, it's just going to be one of those days. The performance was a lot better compared to how we normally fare against top 6 sides, especially away from home. But we were just undone by two things outside of our control, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and evening to folks who've joined us so far, plenty of time to hear your views about Sunderland, any of the decisions, what the result means, anything on Portsmouth, anything on Else ITFC. Get involved in the comments and give us a thumbs up if you're watching as well. We'll start to go through those in a sec. And I guess, Seb, this is, this top 10... I don't want to use the word hoodoo, but I'm going to use the word hoodoo.
It is that now, isn't it?
This now becomes a psychological thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the longer it goes on, how many times in the past did we say teams on awful runs, and then Ipswich come to town and suddenly they can turn runs around? That went on for a little while, and we used to have Crew back in the day who were a bogey side, and now we just seem incapable of beating a side against in the top 6 of the league. To be fair, I think we'd all agree that we definitely deserved a point last night. I've seen a bit of an argument saying we deserve to win it, perhaps not based on the first 2/3 of the first half. But it was a much better performance than I'll be honest I was expecting. I had it hands down for a comfortable 2-0 Sunderland win, and after the first goal goes in, that's how I thought it would play out. But we reacted quite well. We kept on pushing. Bishop, I thought, was really good last night. The way he runs with the ball and his close ball technique is absolutely superb. He was really causing them a lot of problems. So there were positives last night. This isn't a normal 2-0 loss. Haven't turned up, no shots on target, isolated striker, etc. It was a half decent performance, and I took a bit of encouragement from it.
Yeah, here's the stats. So Ipswich dominating the possession, which I guess is standard of late. But not too many efforts on target for either team. Sunderland with some wayward shots there. I mean, this suggests to me that a draw would have been the fair result, which is what you said here. Big chances, I guess, not too many for us. But yeah, it's depressing, Seb, that 2 refereeing decisions have effectively turned the game, because Sunderland looked nervy.
They did,
the Judge interception and the Lancaster volley over the top was kind of at a point where they looked like they were there for the taking.
We were getting on top, yeah. And also there was one right on the stroke of half time. Do you remember when Jackson nips in on the byline and can't just pull it back for somebody? But again, and that was a defensive mix-up between their centre halves and their goalkeeper. So defensively, they were very, very ropey. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. But had the Lancaster chance gone in at 60 odd minutes, it's a completely different game, isn't it?
Different game, and now the next one we have, which hopefully someone in the comments will help me out. Otherwise, I'm going to have to pad for time and look it up very.
What, the next top 6 game? Hull.
Is it? Oh, Hull in a few weeks, isn't it?
We've got Shrewsbury in the league on 2 weeks on the weekend, and we've got Hull the week after. It's at Portman Road though, so hopefully. And they seem to have hit a bit of a rut as well, haven't they? They're having a few ropey performances at the moment, Hull. So hopefully we can finally break that hoodoo.
Let's have some comments then. Nick Muller, high all handball rule was easier 20 years ago.
Agreed. So was offside.
You might need to help us out, Nick. I assume if it just hits the hand, it's handball, is it, or something? Or there were no handballs or something. I do remember 20 years ago, but I don't remember appealing for too many handball decisions apart from whenever the ball went anywhere near someone's hand, it's handball. Let's have a butchers at these. HCH again, whilst I can see that after we scored, we did let my slide score, can we still put up with a brilliant sprouted by Lambert? Were we brilliant last night, Seb?
I wouldn't say brilliant. We didn't start well for the first 2/3 of the first half and stuff. So brilliant seems to be his generic go-to term for every post-match interview. Apart from the Crew game at the weekend, he was quite honest there and said we rode our luck. I wouldn't say we were brilliant. I said we showed a bit of character. We came back into the game. We showed a bit of fight, but brilliant is a stretch, I think.
James Ruddock agreed that both decisions were harsh. Were we saying that both decisions were harsh? I'm trying to remember. I think we were saying
the penalty is a penalty by the laws of the game, but they're stupid laws. The red card, we both said why we could see they could give it. Yeah,
so I think we're probably erring on the side of caution there, James. But thank you for pretending that we were agreeing with everyone on Twitter last night. Both decisions are harsh, but we're still not using our large squad to beat bigger teams in the league, albeit we're playing with identity and purpose. So there was a little bit of rotation last night, Seb, but we don't want to over-rotate. We'll see rotation on this weekend, won't we? But
yeah,
you want to see a little bit of consistency with the selection.
And we did, to be fair, we did hammer Lambert last year, didn't we, when he was making 5-6 changes every single game. So we can't really use that as a stick to beat him with and then say we'd like to see a bit more rotation. The only one I was surprised at, like I said, was Emir Hughes. I figured because he didn't figure against Crew, and I think only got a few minutes against Gillingham in the week. I thought he'd be a nail-on starter, but for whatever reason, he seems to be a bit out of favour. I assume he'll start the next 2 games, but it seems a bit of a waste to only play him in the cup competitions if he could be useful in a tight away game like that.
HCH, never a pen for me. He just slipped over. I think that's a copy and paste, possibly from Lincoln. HCH. Nick Muller, evening. Everyone, stay safe. Yeah, and to you, Nick, as well. Seb, what's the end of lockdown like? We talked about this on the pod a few weeks ago. We're
not there yet. It's Monday, so on Monday it goes back to a relative normality with restaurants reopening and pubs reopening. Unfortunately, just as the vast majority of you guys who are watching and yourself as the host are going into one, I'm afraid. I live in Wales, by the way, just in case you're all wondering why I get exemptions to the rules.
Yeah, not exemptions. They are permitted, aren't they? So yeah, let's all head over to Wales. No,
please don't. Please don't.
Please don't. HCH again. It did look like Teddy scared the hell out of their defence in the second half. Shame there was no real support once he got to the edge of the box. Yeah, near the end, as that they kind of gallops, meanders through, doesn't he? A lot of pace there, Bishop, actually, as well.
He seems really quick when he runs with the ball, doesn't he? And his close ball control is absolutely superb. So I'm delighted for him. He's had such a tough 5-6 years with injuries and breaking down and false comebacks. He's really, really starting to look like a player now. Just in time to be out of contract.
Yeah. Given the HCH again, we need more comments, folks. As much as I love to hear from HCH, I want to hear from all of you as well. Given the low match rates that League One refs get, I think that's the pay and all that kind of stuff. Does that mean that we'll always get a lower standard refereeing until we get out of the league? I mean, the easy answer is yes. you get what you pay for, I think, and that includes for referees. And Nick here says refs in the lower leagues are still learning their trade. I think there are some more established referees in there too, but yeah,
they've had a shocker in the Championship the week before, and they get demoted for a couple of games. That goes on as well, doesn't it? So,
yeah. Wasn't a red card. Terry says should have been a foul on Dizelle for the push. Was a penalty due to the crazy rule that needs to be changed. So I think, I think we probably agree on the handball, and an interesting view there on the Dizelle. I don't recall the push. I need to watch the headlines.
Yeah, it's two in the back. Again. It's two in the back. So yeah, it's
well,
it's
that might be the mitigating circumstances that means that the appeal is considered, perhaps.
Fingers crossed. Not confident, but fingers crossed.
A Google user, not a non-specific Google user. If you want to identify yourself to us, feel free. If you want to stay anonymous, I totally understand. I won't pry. Are you on the run? I don't know. If we adopted the Joe Royal tactics and scored more than them, it wouldn't have mattered. As much as that's kind of put in there as a little bit of a pithy statement, there is some truth, isn't there, that we don't create too many chances. The stats I put out there about big chances, Lancaster is right place, right time, but these kind of the games that are passing us by where we don't create enough proper chances, which the Blackpool game is a good example here. All of the goals from in and around the edge of the penalty area, rather than crosses in, the Hawkins goal, I guess, against Crewe is an example of that. We just don't create too many easy chances. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I'm explaining it poorly, but is there something to be said for we're passing it well and we're kind of attacking quite well down the wide players and we're shooting from range and being instinctive, but Hawkins and our strikers have not got too many goals. I wonder why that is, and maybe the tactics don't lend themselves to scoring 3, 4, 5 a match.
When was the last time we scored a good old-fashioned easy tap-in? Header against Crewe aside, that's close in. But, a good old-fashioned tap-in from the centre forward. We just don't seem to do those kind of goals anymore.
Yeah, put something in the comments. I'm trying to remember the last time maybe it was Bristol. We have scored a tap-in this season because I remember saying, "Oh, that's a good goal because it's a tap-in. It's a good move."
Series in the cup first game. I don't know. Maybe
it rings a bell.
Need to go look.
Evening to our friend Sully, who I'm sure is enjoying all the kind of political ramifications going on at the moment. This is a political free zone, though. I was going to do some kind of Trumpian introduction, like I've declared victory over Sunderland last night and the result doesn't matter. But I'm not going to go there, Seb.
Woodward's getting political again.
Even though I have. So Sully's opinion on the handball, but his hand was in an unattractive position. He has clarified that he means unnatural, but maybe it's an unattractive position as well. I don't know. I'm sure will be the referee's case. We have third-tier refs. Yeah, same point as before. It's you get what you pay for. I said that, and we are where we are, and we were kind of expecting it. Adam here, should McGuinness and Enciala have been that close together anyway? Good performance overall, though. Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah,
but Miller made that point, did he?
I mean, they're both going for the same ball, aren't they? But it's still incredibly harsh, even if they are close together. Surely that aids the defence of the handball because they're so close and it's instinctive rather than anything premeditated.
Yeah, maybe that understanding isn't quite there yet as well.
It's the first game they've played together as well, obviously, isn't it?
Nick, ex-players always score against. We're jinxed. I think that. I mean, it's a penalty. Anyone could have taken that penalty. He did over-celebrate it though, didn't he, Len?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a, especially with no crowding. I understand if the crowd's there and it's rocking and it's the 85th minute against a promotion rival, fair enough. But he seemed to massively over-rig it.
Sully again. Not his fault, but Holy never looks like he will stop a penalty, does he? Wickham.
Well, he saved the Wickham, yeah. Yeah, Wickham at home was a great save. He's just very big, so I guess it's hard for him to get down.
Yep, I was about to say exactly the same thing. Don't have to. I'm not sure that in our HCH again, I'm not sure that in our top 10 games last season we played as well as last night. Fair point there, Seb. I think
for
the Wickham games where I think my opinions of Wickham and last season on private. I wasn't particularly impressed with them and wasn't surprised with the start they made in the champ. but apart from Wickham, we didn't really put in a good performance against any. Fleetwood, I think, possibly away.
Yeah, Fleetwood was
top 10
okay. We rolled over a couple of the guys at home, like Accrington, didn't we? And somebody else we beat 4-1, quite close proximity. But like I said last night, I was encouraged with the way we played. We came back after conceding the early goal, showed a bit of resolve, and it wasn't the normal, rolling over against the sides that we've come to know.
And George says all we can take from it is a good performance, but the points are gone now. Yeah, exactly right.
But we're still second. Come on, guys. We're still second.
Yeah, positive.
I know someone's got a game in hand, but we are still second in the league. If you'd have said at the start of the season, after 11 games, you'll be second in the league, we'd all have taken that.
Anthony agreed that we didn't start well, but our action was very encouraging. Without the referee, we get a point. And Barley, do you think Lancaster will be made more of a forward now? Yeah, he got into some good positions. He had our best chances last night. Is that a new position for him, perhaps, Seb?
Perhaps, yeah, and he seems to take this number 10 role really well as well. We always knew him as an inverted winger, didn't we? Cutting in on his playing on the right and cutting in on his left foot. It's how he scored the goal against Millwall on New Year's Day. But this number 10 role, this sort of free role, he seems to be really thriving in because he's a clever player. He finds space and he can make those late runs into the box like he did last night for the goal and for the one that he put over the bar. So really encouraged and really good to see because horrific injury for the poor guy. To be that young and have two really bad back injuries and then to come back from it, I'm really happy for him, and he looks like a really good addition to the squad.
Yeah, as much as I've bitched and moaned about our injuries, you have to give credit to the team for getting Bishop fit, or maybe you have to give Bishop credit. Dazelle and now Lancaster have, suggests that we maybe have got better at rehabilitating players. Such that
I think maybe Norwood and KVY would disagree with that.
Well, let's see when they come back. Let's see. Let's not jump to any conclusions. Interesting one from Sully again. Maybe we get lucky and we'll be out of the top 6 by the time we meet them. That
would be great, wouldn't it? Yeah, if just before we play them, they have a horror result and drop to 7th each time. That'd be brilliant.
We still can't beat top 10 teams, Sully. I'm just trying to see what else have we got here. Keep the comments coming in, folks. We're going to go through all of these if I can. Let's have our butchers. Henry Jard. Judge said post-match he'd never felt more comfortable in a game so far this season. Over the 90 minutes, Sunderland were the poorest side I've seen. Agree? Says a lot about the quality of the top of League One.
I don't think they were the poorest side.
Good.
Yeah, I don't think they're the poorest side we've seen. Bristol Rovers, both in the cup and the second or third league game of the season, were pretty bad. Sunderland's defence was very ropey last night. There's no hiding that, and I guess it just show the the quality of the top of League One is not great at times.
Anthony, the way it's going, players should be putting their hands in their pockets when they get in the box. It does make life a lot more difficult, isn't it? As a defender now, you have to.
Well, they do the thing with the hands behind their backs most of the time, don't they, to prove that they can't, nothing can be misconstrued by the ref. So, yeah. Bring back pockets on football shorts.
Yeah. Is Bennett's going to be this season's Giorgio? Yeah, a lot of fanfare, a lot of positivity around the signing, and then, he's hardly featured.
I guess we'll see him for the next 2 games, I hope. I'd like to see him start against Portsmouth and against Crawley because when he comes on, he looks very direct. He looks quick. He got a bit excited last night having long range shots with his second touch. But that pace could really come in useful as the season goes on. I think he looks good, and I'd really like to see him get a bit of a run.
Yeah, well, maybe he might feature on the weekend. So hold that thought.
And then Crawley as well.
And then, speaking of George, is the Pompey game on BBC One main or just the app? I believe it's on the red button and the iPlayer.
Yeah.
And also, I think it might be BT. Yeah. And if you're in America, I think it might be on one of the ESPN channels as well. So
we
providing
are massive
public service support there. I'm going to put this one up there and hope that it's not a trap. I feel like Admiral Akbar. Thoughts of the rumours of Jamie Pratt coming in January. Anyone know who Jamie Pratt is? And have I just been caught out? Is this some kind of bet, Anthony, that I've fallen for? Anyway, we'll move on. Neil Barley, will Lancaster be made to get more goals? Could he be a number 9 or number 10? I think we dealt with that one. Do you see him changing position, or is he always going to be kind of a wide forward step?
Oh, he's done really well in the number 10 role. So yeah, there's no reason he can't continue there. I'm not sure he's got enough strength or enough about him to play the number 9 role. I'm not sure he's great at holding the ball up, but I really like him in the number 10, dropping deep, finding space for himself, and getting on the ball. And his delivery from set pieces is pretty good as well. So I can see him thriving in that role. But it's good to have options as well. During a game, you can change things out. You could put Judge more into the centre. Lancaster's proved you can play in central midfield, so you could always put in there and move Bishop slightly further forward. So it's good to have options for the in-game stuff as well.
And Neil asks about Vincent Young as well. A fit Vincent Young in the side will we definitely be better against the top sides? I don't think
we're not really
bad, is it? We're not missing him a great deal. Ward and Chambers aren't the most mobile, but they're getting up the pitch. I don't think it's an area where we look bad.
No, agreed. Or I could see perhaps Vincent Young perhaps getting in at left back a bit if Ward needs a bit of a break and stuff. He's a better understudy than Miles Kenlock is, so I could see him playing there a little bit. But at the minute, you've got to say Chambers is in really good form. He's playing really well this year, so it would be very, very harsh to drop him.
Yep. Terry, our poor set pieces contribute to lack of scruffy chances. Yeah, this is. I'm trying to remember last time we scored from a set piece. Certainly free kick.
True.
Yeah. Well, that was a
short
phase.
corner, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. It was second phase. Yeah.
But yeah, do you remember 14-15 when Tommy Smith scored 8 goals or something from corners? I think
Berra got a load as well, didn't he? Yeah. It was.
We don't practice set pieces enough, and also the free kicks from around the box as well. They need to be better too. I agree with that. And also, a Google user, please identify yourself. When did we last score a Carlos Edwards rocket? Yeah, I mentioned this in. I did a video for Kings of Anglia for because we cross pollinate. We like to mix it up a little bit. And this is one of the goals that we went to this game together, Derby away. Do you remember Derby away?
It was
13, 14, or 12.
It was the season Mick kept us up, wasn't it?
And we'd been absolutely battered the whole game. They missed the penalty. And then Edwards stepped forward and launched one. That was one of my favourite goals. He did a good one against Sheffield Wednesday as well. Yeah, good shout. I miss the good old days of Thunder Bees being scored pretty routinely. Bring back Shefki Kuchi and Jermaine Wright. Simon Palmer, does Wolfie come straight back in after his isolation, or is the position back to being Nsiala to lose? If we go with Lambert's supposed the shirt is yours until you make a mistake. I guess if Nsiala plays himself into form, he didn't, aside from kicking the ball at McGuinness's hand, there's not much to criticise him for.
He was okay, wasn't he? I think Holy was noticeably playing out to McGuinness short more than he was Nsiala. But I guess, like you say, if Lambert is gonna adopt this rule, then the shirt is his now to lose. But that is hard on Wolverton because he'd done okay for 2 games, hadn't he? He'd been decent, and it's not, it's circumstances outside of his control that has seen him drop out.
Let's move on to Portsmouth of the weekend then. HCH will Lambert play as weak a team as he's going to v Crawley. What's your thoughts on?
I think it'll be stronger against Portsmouth because I don't think he'll play the same bunch of kids, sort of 2 games on the bounce. So against Portsmouth, I'd expect to see obviously Cornell, Danassian, Kenlock, Hughes, maybe a few more minutes in the tank for Jackson. Maybe when Gavin come in, and then I guess potentially against Crawley, we might see the same kind of side that played against Gillingham. So the young centre backs, Falami's gone now, isn't he? But maybe Tyree Simpson. I'd like to see Dobra start both games to get a bit of a run. So I think it'll be younger against Crawley, more like the Gillingham game in the League Cup. In the EFL Papa John's Trophy. It's Papa John's now, isn't it? But I think it'll be slightly stronger against Portsmouth.
Interesting thoughts on Keenan Bennett. Do you think we'll see him Saturday or Tuesday? By the way, maybe he's not doing enough in training. Both. Thoughts from a Google user, but you're thinking both.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, I'd start him for both. He's got no reason not to. He's barely played. He's not started at all, as he didn't start in the Papa John's Trophy last round. I don't think so. He
needs to stay on brand so much, so it's fine. You can call it the EFL Trophy.
EFL Trophy, fine.
Some people might not know what that is.
I don't think he's. I don't think he's played any. I think he's made a start for us. So there's no reason not to give him a game and give Edwards a rest. We don't want to risk Edwards, getting injured in these kind of games, do we?
Now is the time. What about Jackson? Sully was. His view definitely gave us something different. We'll continue to improve. He needs to get match fit, doesn't he? So thoughts about Jackson, how he might feature?
I'd play him in one of the games. I don't think he's up to 2 just yet. He didn't really have a pre-season at all, did he? So maybe play against Pompey and then sit out Tuesday night altogether. But he adds something else. It's his pace that he adds. He doesn't really hold the ball up in the same way Hawkins does. But with Dizelle in the side, you're always hoping he can play one of those balls through, and Jackson's pace will just carry him through. He's also very good at running the channels, which gives the midfielders a chance to break into the box. So hopefully he'll get a run out on Saturday, get some more minutes in the tank.
Anthony's clarified his point from before. This transfer target. It's Jamie Tart. That's a spelling mistake as well, by the way. Jamie Tart, for the uninitiated, is a Manchester City loanee for FC Richmond in the Apple TV Plus comedy series Ted Lasso,
which is excellent.
Is the best thing you'll watch this year in a year of absolute crap with COVID and politicians and nonsense like that. It's the most loveliest thing. And Jamie Tart is a star striker who starts the season on loan at AFC Richmond, managed by Ted Lasso, but goes back to Man City. I won't say any more because I don't want to spoil it, but Ted Lasso, watch it. You won't regret it. George, I reckon the Saturday team will be the same for Crawley. The way it will give fringe players 2 games on the bounce. I think you've said consistent selections for these 2 fixtures, haven't you, Seb?
I think so, but like I say, stronger on Saturday against Pompey and the real kids against Crawley. That's what I do personally. If
you're still with us, and I know a few of you are, give us your predictions for Saturday. Give us your predictions for Saturday, Tuesday, if you want. I'll read some of those before we sign off. Interesting thought again from a Google user. Sears' game has always been about pace, but it seems to have left him. Thoughts on that one, Seb?
Yeah, when Lambert came in, he played that inside forward role really well. He was cutting inside and scoring goals, but he's not quite looked the same since that injury. It's a horrible injury, and I guess he is the wrong side of 30 now. I didn't expect too much from him last season because he didn't come back to it was Boxing Day, I think, wasn't he? He came back on Boxing Day, and he scored 1 goal, but he never really got going. He started the season okay. He got a couple of goals against Bristol Rovers, didn't he? But he just never looks like he's going to beat a man. He always has to cut back and wait for support, or cut back and put the cross in. So I think the days of him blazing past defenders like we saw in 14-15 are gone, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and that comes with age, and that comes with
injuries. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but he's still a very experienced player. He's still a very useful player to have around the place for his experience as well. You can't have 100% kids. You need that little bit of experience, that little bit of support for them in the dressing room as well.
Yep. We were talking about tap-in goals, and HCH reminded us that we got some tap-ins from Luke Garbutt's free kicks last season.
We did, yeah.
Which is a fair point. And James says Norwood had loads of one-on-ones last season and missed them. No one-on-ones lately, which is an interesting thought as well. So, that the change of system, I think, as I alluded to in my really ham-fisted point before, is that I think we're there to construct different types of chances than playing over the top or playing in, because Jackson Norwood had pace to do that, didn't they? And so different goals for different needs. HCH decision on Doz's red card appeal due on Friday. What do you think would be the result? I don't think it'll be overturned. I don't think it's a frivolous appeal, but I think
it'll be 3 matches
upheld. And we're getting some predictions now, which is great. Let me just let's talk briefly about Portsmouth, Seb. I don't think we can predict the lineup, and I just want to say a very quick thank you to Peter Basford, who's given us some love on Facebook. Thank you, Peter. The love is sent back to you as well. Yeah, I mean, we've speculated what the Ipswich team will be, so let's not even have a go at speculating what the Pompey team will be. A few things to think about. John Nolan back from suspension.
Oh yeah, of course, I forgot about him.
So he might need so he might need some minutes. But Pompey are on form at the moment. Seb won 5 league games since the start of October, but lost to Charlton on Saturday. They beat Lincoln last night. Likely to play a 4-4 effing 2. And John Marquis is the person we should keep a lookout for if he starts. He's on 7 goals. And also, I've forgotten his name. Harness, is it? I think he plays in midfield. He's got 5 goals as well. But we just don't know, do we, what this team is going to be?
I assume they'll rest people like we will, because it's not their priority. And just let's hope Ellis Harrison doesn't school us like he did in last December down at Fratton Park. He might well get a game. He might well start for them at the weekend if Marcus is the one leading the line at the moment. He might get a start.
Yeah, well, Mikey Davies says exactly the same thing. Ellis Harrison, the one to watch.
He did school us. Toto really struggled, didn't he, last December? So
yeah, he'll know how to play us. Continuing, more love. This is great. A like from Cognitive Dissidence. Good for you. Great name. I'm loving that. And also from there we go. I'm trying to do many things at once. So if you're liking and thumbs up and doing all kinds of heart stuff and want to do super chat on YouTube, if you feel so inclined, I will try to call out as much as I can. Let's go through some of your predictions. Is it Harkness, says HCH? I might be wrong. I might have missed a letter out. This is how we want to go. Win-win. Neil Barley's going for win-wins in the cup. Nord return. I think it's too soon.
Too early. Yeah, he's back on the grass, I think, isn't he? But it's too early for that, I think.
Nick Muller's going for a 2-0 win and a loss on penalties at Pompey, 3-1 at Crawley. Is there replays in the first round?
There were last year because we drew with Lincoln, didn't we? We finally won an FA Cup game when Alan Judge scored after the 90th minute at Lincoln. So I presumed it would be replays, but maybe it's different with the COVID-induced fixture list.
Nick reckons we're going to beat Crawley 5-0. I'm all for that. And who else? Oh, someone's given us a thumbs down on YouTube. Well, that's disgraceful.
Maybe it's the ref from last night.
So that's all I've got. I think that we'll call that a show. I think we've covered all the main points. A couple of things to mention. Firstly, all of the team on the pod send best wishes to Paul Maron, who's recovering after some pretty extensive surgery. So all the best, and I'm sure we send everyone's best wishes from listeners and subscribers alike to him for a speedy recovery. On the pod at the weekend is Ben and others. I don't know who that is, and we'll figure out whether we're going to do a midweek show next week. It requires someone to put their hand up to do it, so we'll see how it goes. All of our details, let me just put those up whilst we sign off, so you can follow us in all these places here. And Seb, do you want anything you want to advertise? Any Twitter accounts you want to mention?
No, I mean, I'm on Twitter as at BrownS08. And obviously, please follow the channel on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and thank you for all the comments and the questions. Neil
Barley says no. Oh, that's a prediction. Lancaster 2 on Saturday, 3-1. No replays this year as well. I'm just finishing off bits and pieces. Sully's quite right to mention the FA Youth Cup win. I think that was 4-1, 4-0. Oh, I should know, shouldn't I? Oh, this is bad. Joe Fairs will be.
I don't know either, I'm afraid. Sorry, Joe's going to be very upset.
Jumping up and down. I should, if you give me 2 seconds, I could. Under 18, 4-1. Got it right. Knew it. Brilliant. So good luck to them in the as they continue through that competition. And I think that will do us. And I will say, take care, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.